Welcome viewers. Today we discuss about biodiversity. The term biodiversity was first coined by Walter G. Rosen in 1986. The biosphere comprises of a complex collection of innumerable organisms known as the biodiversity, which constitute the vital life support for survival of human race. Biological diversity, abbreviated as a biodiversity, represents the sum total of the various life forms, such as unicellular fungi, protozoa, bacterium, multicellular organisms, such as plants, fishes, and mammals, in various biological, including genes, habitat, and ecosystem. Biodiversity, what does bio mean? Bio means life. Biodiversity, diversity, variety, concept, and types of the biodiversity. Biodiversity Biodiversity is the variety of life forms on Earth and the essential interdependence of all living things. As defined in Convention of Biological Diversity signed at Rio de Janeiro in 1992 by 154 countries, the biodiversity defined as the variability among living organisms from all the sources including terrestrial, marine, and other aquatic ecosystems and ecological complexes of which the area part. This include diversity with species between species and ecosystem. According to IUCN in 1980, variety and variability of species of their population, variety of the species of their life forms, diversity of the complex association with species with interaction and their ecological process which influences. There are three types of biodiversity: diversity of species, diversity of ecosystem, diversity of genes. Distribution of biodiversity: flora and fauna, diversity, climate, altitude, soil, presence of the other species. Most of the biodiversity concentrated in tropical region. Biodiversity hotspots: a region with high biodiversity with most of the species being endemic. India have two biodiversity hotspots: East Himalaya region and Western Himalaya. Biodiversity and balance of the nature. Trophic level: elimination of species from trophic level can cause destruction of ecosystem as well as biodiversity. Plants in forest, deer, lion. Complex ecosystem in a complicated ecosystem having several trophic levels. Loss of one or more species do not cause any serious problem because the alternative available. Keystone species: loss or addition of the species cause detectable change in ecosystem rates. That is means species makes unique contribution to ecosystem functioning. Niche complementary difference among species in their requirements for different sources will cause complementary interactions so that a species could obtain more resources. Facilitation and mutualism. Plant may also benefit from their neighbors through amelioration of the physical and biotic environment. Portfolio effect: species richness increases the temporal stability of the entire community while the biomass is stabilized. Insurance hypothesis: biodiversity benefits of the biodiversity: consumptive value, food, drink, fuel, medicine, better crop varieties, industrial material. Non-consumptive value: recreation, education, and research. Traditional value: ecological services, balance of nature, biological productivity, regulation of climate, degradation of waste, cleaning of air and water, cycling of nutrients, control of potential pest and disease causing species, detoxification of soil and sediments, stabilization of land against erosion, carbon sequestration and global climate change, maintenance of the soil fertility. Next, threats to biodiversity. Natural causes: narrow geographical area, low population, low breeding rate, natural disasters. Anthropogenic causes: habitat modification, overexploitation of the selected species, innovation by exotic species, pollution, hunting, global warming and climate, agriculture, domino effect. These are the threats of the biodiversity. Recent issues on biodiversity: 75% of the genetic diversity of crop plants been lost in the past century. Some scientists estimate that as many as 3 species per hour are going extinct, and 20,000 extinctions occur each year. Roughly one third of the world's coral reef system have been destroyed or are highly degraded. 24% of the mammals and 12% of the bird species are currently considered to be globally threatened. More than 50% of the world wetlands have been drained, and population of the inland water and wetland species have declined by 50% between 1970 and 1999. Conservation of biodiversity: biodiversity inventories, conserving biodiversity in protected habitat, in situ conservation and ex situ conservation, seed bank, gene bank, pollen बैंक, डीएनए बैंक, जीन बैंक, पोलन बैंक के बाद देखते हैं नेक्स्ट रिस्टोरेशन ऑफ बायोडाइवर्सिटी, इम्पार्टिंग इन्वायरमेंटल एजुकेशन, enacting, strengthening and enforcing the environmental legislation, population growth, reviewing the agriculture practice, controlling urbanization, conservation through biotechnology, biotechnology conservation, in situ, in situ sacred groves, lakes, biosphere reserves, marine, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, ex situ sacred plant, home garden, seed bank, gene bank, cryopreservation, botanical garden, zoological garden, aquaria. ये था diagrammatic sketch of the conservation of the biodiversity. Biodiversity in India: mammals 41%, birds 7%, reptiles 46%, amphibians 57%, freshwater fishes 70%. नेक्स्ट देखते हैं biodiversity conventions. The first convention of biodiversity organized in Rio de Janeiro, capital of Brazil, from June 5 to 16, 1992, named as United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, UNCED, better known as Rio Summit, or to maintain the ecological balance and enrich biodiversity. Agreement on biodiversity signed by 150 countries, including 3 programs to ensure conservation of biodiversity, sustainable use of biodiversity, rational and equitable share of profit to occur from the use of the genetic resources. Second convention organized at the Johannesburg in 2002, called World Summit on Sustainable Development, WSSD, where the biodiversity and sustainable ecosystem management was the issue. ये था बायोडाइवर्सिटी कन्वेंशन फर्स्ट जो है 1992 को हुआ. द इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस हेल्ड ऑन बायोडाइवर्सिटी रिलेशन टू फूड एंड ह्यूमन सिक्योरिटी इन वार्निंग प्लानट 15 to 17 February 2010 in Chennai. International Conference on Wildlife and Biodiversity Conservation held on 3 to 5 June 2010 at Dal Lake, Srinagar, Kashmir. Indian Biodiversity Congress (IBC) and Indian Biodiversity (IBE) will be held on 27 December. Conclusion: biodiversity is our life. If the biodiversity got lost, the rate then in near future survival of human being will be threatened. So it is our moral duty to conserve biodiversity as well our environment. Long-term maintenance of species and their management requires cooperative efforts across entire landscapes. Biodiversity should be dealt with at scale of the habitats or ecosystem rather than at species level. ये था कंक्लूजन बायोडाइवर्सिटी का। अल्लाह हाफिज़।